Alrighty,
Okay.
we are live.
You gotta hit record. It won't let me do it. Unless you give me permission back. Got it. Got it. All right, we're learning all the things. Okay, I'm the host now. Wonderful. All right. I think we might have it together now.
Hey, cooking with gas.
I hope we are. All right, welcome to everyone that is tuning in today. I am Sherrita Niles. I am Manager of Food and Health Equity for Center of Wellness for Urban Women. And today is our Wellness Wednesday. And for today's Wellness Wednesday, I just wanted to have like a chat, just talk about how wellness is related to food and some of the great food problem solvers that are in our community that are working with our organization. So just to give you a little background on who I am and what I do, I said my name, but I work with the alumni of the Neighborhood Food Champions, which is a program that gives grants to individuals who create businesses surrounding solving food access and equity issues within the Indianapolis area. So there are about 40 individuals currently, and we all work together to just get their businesses, programs, projects, organizations moving forward, getting community connections for them, making sure that the community knows what they have to offer. And let me tell you, they have some awesome things to offer. So today we have Miss Taisha.
Yes.
We lost somebody, but if he comes back on, we lost him on the recording. But let's just have a conversation about food. Let's talk about, how you got here and what made you want to be a part of Neighborhood Food Champions and to be able to continue in the programs and processes that you're doing.
Well, first of all, I am blessed to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation to come out and share everything we have going on. Why did I sign up to be a community food builder? Well, one of the reasons is because I work with food. Basically, the community that I am is the same community that CWU office is located. I am in the near Northwest area, formerly Anwa area, Golden Hill, down the street from Bertha Ross Park, maybe 3-4 blocks from Martin Luther King. So basically that's where I am. I'm over here in the neighborhood. We have several lots on off of 33rd and Clifton. Basically, I am Taisha. I am director for Mother Loves Garden. And what we are is we are an educational garden that's over here in my neighborhood. So basically what we do is we try to teach youth and anybody else who is interested about growing produce organically. We kind of use some, different methods of doing things. We try to recycle, use things that are thrown away that would normally be food waste, things that are inexpensive in order to be able to start gardens and be able to grow produce. During the summer, we have a 5-week camp, Mother Loves Gardens, Future Farmers, where we have youth from 9 to 12 come out and they help with working in the garden. They also learn about how to grow produce, how to start their own gardens, nutrition, what healthy foods to eat, what foods, hey, it's okay to have a little bit of that, but, you probably don't want to have a whole bunch of it. It's probably nothing that you want to do every day, everything within moderation. We talk about the exchanges in what plants provide for us and what we in turn provide for the plants. So, we have some fun. We do a lot of that as well. The kids are in the garden from 7 in the morning to 12 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Our day starts out, talking about how everybody's day was before, anything anybody wants to talk about. The kids have a light breakfast. We get to it. Our day typically rounds down at 11:30, where we walk down to Bertha Ross Park. They've been working hard. They got the water sprinklers out there. So the kids have fun until their parents come and pick them up. On Fridays, the kids, it's basically our, what you call that? What is when the kids go out? I lost it, but basically what we do is we go to other growing spaces and field trip. That's what I was looking for. Our youth are able to go out to different urban growing spaces and kind of see how they do things. The operation is able to tell the kids everything about them, how they got started. The kids are able to answer any questions. And in exchange, the kids are able to volunteer at that particular organization for the rest of the day until their parents come to pick them up about 11:30 noon. Our youth are compensated. They receive a stipend of $50 per week. We have some campers that will probably be returning. So each year that the campers return, they get an increase of $25. We do have that capped at $125. Because basically from there, we want to start getting them into roles of leadership. There are other garden programs that are in our neighborhood that hire individuals. I think some of the age ranges may be 16 to 18, 18 to 24, where they are paid hourly for the work that they do. Sometimes it can be part-time or full-time work. So, we have them from 9 to 12. So we get them when they're a little younger and try to pour into them as much as possible. This year, what we want to do is start having some of our older youth actually come back and work here. So we're hoping to be able to hire some of our older campers to actually be able to work hourly, part-time here at our garden spaces. So like I said, we do have several on 33rd and Clifton, but we also have a partnership with Growing Common Grounds in Lebanon, Indiana, where we have 1/4 of an acre, probably could be a little less, where we also grow.
Okay.
Like
and also, that's okay. That's okay. I wanted you to, get it all out. We also have Daniel joining us today in the conversation. Thank you so much for being present for the conversation, accepting the invitation. Please tell us more about what you're doing in the community.
We have over here, the farm is called Garcia's Gardens. We've been growing. This is our 8th year now. We are a for-profit farm. We mainly do farmers markets and restaurants and a little bit of online sales. We are a neighborhood food champion. So in the past, we have worked with Indian Urban Acres, trying to get an additional land plot in production. That was back in 2020. This year, we plan on opening up some sort of farm stand. We don't really have a clear vision of what that looks like. And then we're also going to be working with the LFPA grant. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but essentially what that is a grant that was handed down from federal to the state level. And I don't know if all the states got money or funding. But essentially what's happening is a lot of the produce that gets, so we're producing produce for food pantries, and the state is going to be covering the cost for that. So that's kind of our big plan this year. My concerns for that is anytime there's grant money, I'm like, I get kind of, I don't know, cautious, a little bit concerned because what happens, after the money runs out, you know, it's all up to us to keep it going. So I don't really want to invest in something that is going to die at the end of the grant period. And so that also means I don't want to, the challenging thing for me is like, I don't want to jeopardize the relationships that I have with my current market streams, my current customers. Because if I'm sending everything to LFBA, then at the end of that grant, I'm going to have to rebuild that. And anybody who starts a small business is like, one of the biggest, hardest, toughest things to do is to develop that customer base.
Absolutely.
And then we'll have to be doing that over again. So that's kind of the plan for this year. We did get a grant through the Indie Food Fund. I think it was 2 years ago. Where we got some nursery equipment. So like a lot of these carts back here, we got funding for that. And then we also got funding for a produce cooler that we put in a coffee shop. And we really want to put more produce in there. And we're trying to figure out any kind of like non-traditional locations to have produce in the area. So that's kind of what we're doing this year.
Love it.
Local farmers market, which is a little, it's slow for us. Any kind of weekday market is slow for us. You know, if I was selling cakes and pies and sugary stuff, you know, that's what people gravitate towards. So
yes.
we're just trying to talk with the other vendors. I think whenever there's a slow farmers market, you try to see what other farmers are doing, what the other farmers market vendors are doing, just to kind of like create that.
I think we might have lost him for a second. You can hear me, Taisha?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, just making sure it's not me. Okay. All right. Well, if Daniel gets a chance to figure out what's going on there, we will get him back on to tell us a little bit more. So going back to you, because I had some questions. There are specific areas to that are below, or do you?
Sherrita, I'm not sure if it's my connection or your connections, but everything you just said was all chopped up.
Okay, let's start again. I don't know, because it's hard. It says it's shaky, but then I don't know who it is. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So I was asking, what area do you target for your youth program? Is it any 9 to 12-year-old in the area that wants to participate, or do you have a specific area that you want the young people to come from?
Well, we target this area first and foremost because, you know, one of the things that we're concerned about is, if they're living in this neighborhood and they can just walk from their house, over to the garden, well, that's a much better situation.
Yes.
But, we have had youth come, from the east side, come from other areas. So, we really don't like to turn youth away. Unfortunately, we're not a huge garden space. So
Right.
I want to say last year we capped it at 15 youth and we had 15 youth. I think we might have had a couple that maybe wanted to join later on, but we weren't able to accommodate. So this year I wasn't sure if we were going to do 15. I wanted to kind of scale it down a little bit, just so we can focus more on building the relationship with those youth.
Yes.
But, if we get, 15, 13, then, I really don't want to turn anybody away, so we'll try to find places for them. But, our focus is this neighborhood, but Hey, you know, wherever they come from, it's
Right,
nice.
right.
You know,
Well, if
they
you get some people from the community who know a little bit about gardening to come and help you, then you can still do 15. So we'll just put
Oh,
that out there.
yes,
She's
yes.
definitely looking for help.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. Now that yes. We are looking for, we're definitely going to be needing volunteers because we are rolling out a new garden space this year. Last year, we've been working very hard to get our container garden up and running. So basically, we've covered the whole lot in cardboard and wood chips. We have started placing, basically what it's going to be is a whole slew of 10-gallon felt bags that we're going to be growing in. We have started placing our tires. I don't know if anybody's been to the current garden we have at 1114. Basically, the slope is very steep, and I don't want anybody rolling down the hill. So we covered the whole front of the garden with tires. Like I said, we grow in some different ways. So quite a few of the tires that we were able to salvage were actually illegally dumped over here in our neighborhood. So we just picked up with the truck, threw them in the back, and put them over at our garden location. So we are definitely looking for volunteers. Once I have the application and everything up and ready, we'll be putting the application out there. Last year, we did hire 2 additional staff members to come on to be able to assist with the youth. So we're going to be doing the same thing. I'm hoping that, you know, at least 1, maybe 2 of the ones, the employees we had last year may come back, but you know, we'll see. But if not, I'll definitely put that information out there. And like I said before, we are trying to hire some additional part-time staff. First, we want to make sure that the youth who have gone through our program open that opportunity to them first. And then if that need, the need that we have is not fulfilled with our prior campers, then we'll be opening that up to the public to be able to have, you know, other people involved. But anybody can come volunteer.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like Daniel got back in. So I'm going to throw it back to him because I had a couple questions. Daniel, tell us a little bit about how you got started. Like what moved you to want to be part of this program, the Neighborhood Food Champions, and then going into the Builders program? Like what started you in it and what kept you there?
So initially on one of my delivery routes, I would be driving by this piece of land that had been previously worked for flowers right there at Shadeland and, or no, not Shadeland, sorry, 21st and German Church, which is like, you know, we're on 42nd Street and German Church is right there. So we're a couple miles away from them. And I just kept driving by and I'm like, hey, if I'm driving by this spot, that's an opportunity for me to like, hey, maybe I could work this someday. And then I saw the Neighborhood Food Champion program coincidentally at the same time. And that's what I wrote the project proposal for. I called Tyler with the Indie Urban Acres and he's like, yeah, I mean, he's like, this was back in 2019 or 2020. And he's like, yeah, the food pantries are just getting slammed right now. So that was the plan. And I had a guy who was working for me 3 days a week. And I was like, hey, you know, I've got this other plot we have a program for, and it's 2 more days of work. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. And like he wanted to do something else, but that's like our challenge, has been our challenge ever since day one, is labor. It's hard to find that kind of labor on a, you know, outside harvesting day in, day out. So that's kind of like our big challenge. And then after that program was over, so we didn't take any of that food. All that food was part of Indie Urban Acres donation. And I also had a kind of like a second reason for starting that program. I also wanted to know what it would be like for me if I had to expand to a different location, because right now we are at 1.5 acres total. Probably it's around a half acre in actual production. So if we could, if we did have opportunity to work at a different location, what would it take? How are we going to get all the equipment there? How is that going to work for just to get it done? Because it's going to take a lot more time to prep a bed that's, X number of miles away than it is for right here, because we have to load everything up, make sure we don't forget anything, drive over there, and then do everything, make sure we had, if we didn't have everything the first time, we'd have to come back or do it another day. So just try to figure out the logistics of how that was gonna happen.
Right.
And then we do sell produce to a cafe at Fort Bend. It's called Porter Books and Bread. They're a small coffee shop. They do their own coffee roasting. They do sandwiches. And they were getting hurt in 2020 with all the lockdowns and everything. Everybody's closing. So I thought if there's and people weren't wanting to go to the grocery stores. I thought if there's another outlet where I could get produce to them that they could put in their store or in their cafe, then maybe it'll bring more customers to their table.
Right.
And maybe people have more access to food. So that was the reason behind getting that cooler.
Okay.
And so another reason is like I've been growing for 8 years. It's like I would really so I want to have my farm to be like an example of what people can do at other locations. I don't want to I just want to try to do the best I can so people can learn. Since we don't have like acres and acres and acres of produce, I think the best thing that we can give is just help with our helping transfer the knowledge of our previous experiences and helping others. So we have farm tours here. I'm pretty connected with all the local area growers. It's just like, how do you juggle all of that and raise a family and
still have a life? But you seem to be doing it, so.
Yeah, I mean, last year was a big struggle. I'm not gonna lie, this winter I'm like, are we gonna do it again? Are we able to do it again? Like,
yeah,
8 years is challenging.
Yeah.
So after I paid employee taxes, I was just like, because since we're agriculture, we file a 943, which means we can wait till the end of the year to pay all the employee taxes, which is like great. But then when you got to go pay it, it's like, So really count some beans there last month.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We have one more person that joined us. Susan, I'm not going to try to butcher your last name. Question about how did you get good? You going and you're a little bit different. Can you hear us, Susan?
No,
okay.
it froze on me. I think I might be getting it back. I'm closing everything I can.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Is that any better? Can you hear me? I don't know. For me,
I can hear you, but I don't know if on my end, Sherrita is froze.
Oh, I thought it was me. Oh, I like the yarn and paraphernalia behind you. Oh, now you're back and moving. Okay.
Now I'm back. Like, it's amazing how technology is fine until you are doing something live or recorded, and then everything goes haywire. I have not had problems at all for 2 days.
It's my fault.
No, it was happening before you even came on. Like, it kept saying it, and I'm just like, we never have this issue. I don't understand. But anyway, tell us about you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm Susan Barancini-Mo, and I apologize for being late. I got stuck
It's
in
okay.
a client meeting. But by day, I'm an executive coach and work with all kinds of leaders and executives in all kinds of organizations. And by normal, other interests that are, in their own way, equally important. I am the founder of Barancini Mo Food Foundation, and we began in the Neighborhood Food Champions program. And my intent was to start an educational food foraging garden. That dream is still alive, but I also have a very strong interest in um, adding or finding another way to help urban farmers and community gardeners to find property and land where they can engage in food producing activities. What I learned in my process of trying to find a location for my garden was that it's really hard to find land that is suitable, that the soil is right, that the lighting is right, that it's accessible, and has water running to it. That's a whole other thing. And finding land that's affordable is challenging at best. So that was something that I realized is a potential need and an area that I think my skills lend themselves well to. So I'm really interested in moving in that direction and helping my fellow food champions and food builders to find the property of their dreams for their gardens.
Awesome. Now, talk a little bit more about food foraging because we're on Facebook and not everyone knows what that
Oh yeah,
means.
hi Facebook.
But give a little bit of background of that and what that means and why do you think that that's important?
Oh yeah, food foraging is one of my most favorite things to talk about because it is, gosh, it's just it. First of all, it's free food. Okay, so what it is basically going out into the world and finding plants to eat. And so that's it. And so it could be you go in your backyard and you gather up all the dandelion flowers to make jelly, or it could be gathering up the dandelion leaves to make a salad, or using the root to make a coffee-like substance, they say. I have not tried that one, but it could, there are all kinds of plants that we think of as weeds and are, bad and invasive and we don't want them. But the reality is that some of those weeds, purslane being a great example, are among the most nutritious substances found on earth. So it's a really valuable skill to have because you never know, when they're going to jack up the prices so much, and being able to just go out and find food is a wonderful skill. And of course it includes mushrooms, which are advanced foraging. But when I think about, for me, foraging, I forage in my own backyard. We don't spray our property, so it's safe. And, we live in a residential area in the suburbs. So, again, I don't have to worry too much about, bad things happening to the stuff on my property. Um, but it could be going to a park or, look, some of these weeds grow in the cracks of sidewalks. Okay. So you can find food foraging, food for foraging anywhere. And the reason I think it's important, aside from the fact that it's free food, I mean, what more could you want? The reason I think it's also important is there's a historical perspective here that really matters. I don't know that I'm the best person to speak on that topic, to be candid, but what I can tell you is that historically, people foraged, and that was a thing people did. I know that prior to the Civil War, it was one way that slaves would supplement their nutritional intake, and they would, get more food than what they were provided. And after the Civil War, a lot of laws were passed outlawing foraging to prevent people from leaving the land that they were assigned to. So, um, I think that foraging is a really important skill to reclaim. And it's also a way to kind of stick it to the man. And I like that a lot. So, I know there's more nuance there, but again, I don't think I'm the best person to speak on that. I just know that it's a really important thing. And I really like that it gives me a feeling of safety and independence in knowing that if ever my family were to be hungry, I would know what to do.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit just because I've had the pleasure of getting to meet all three of you as the new manager of food and health equity, because we've done these evaluations and just trying to figure out where you are and what you have to offer. But the one thing that continues to be true for every single person in this program that I talk to is not enough help, not enough volunteers, needing people. So now we are here on the CWU Facebook community where people jump on to see all types of things. So I am about to put all three of you on the spot to tell everyone, who is it that you're looking for? What does your ideal volunteer look like? Or is your volunteer anybody? And what types of things do you specifically need volunteers to assist with? I will start with Taisha, since she was like the first person that was on, and then we'll go to Daniel and then right back to you, Susan.
Well, what we are looking for is we are looking for a little bit of anybody, because part of our goal is to educate. So, as a grower, and I'm sure, Daniel grows and he can speak to this as well, having people who are familiar with growing and kind of know what they're doing, those are always the best. But, our goal is education. So, if someone has no idea, never grown anything, they are more than welcome to come along as well. Some of the projects that we are working on is, like I had stated before, we have tires that we have just started placing on our new growing space. So we have to fill those tires up with straw. We gotta, start making, getting our good soil going in there. We do layers. So it probably would be really easy to just fill that all up with compost, but that's not how we do things here. So we're going to be layering because, that would cost a whole lot of money. So we're going to try to save some of that money, and we're going to use some food waste. We're going to use some brew waste. We're going to use some straw, cardboard, all that good stuff. But we need more hands to help us to be able to fulfill that. Our summer camp starts around June. So ideally, we would like to have a lot of these things in place. So when the kids start, we can spend more time on education and, less time on getting everything ready, because we're an urban garden. So we have trees and things that need to be cut back, growth that needs to be removed. So, it's some work we have to do here. So, if you're skilled, that's not, you can come on too, but, we're willing, anybody who wants to learn, anybody who likes the outdoors. I like old school music, so we're going to turn on the speaker, we're going to jam. So please come on out.
Thank you. Thank you. Daniel?
So typically we don't actually take volunteers. Very rarely do we take volunteers. And I know, we've had some volunteers that want to start their own farms, and they have. And we had a group last year that we it's like a food hub that we sell to. They had employees come from all over that for a team building event, and they worked on several projects on the farm because they wanted to kind of see what the farms are doing that they have relationships with. And then we also had one volunteer who's like, we just had our third child, and she was just this tiny, scrawny Asian girl. And I'm like, I don't think she's going to be lasting, 2 months. But turns out she's the beast, and she just is, she's closer to ground level. And that is a huge advantage because that's where we make our money. And she eventually became an employee during COVID because she's a hairstylist, and that kind of got her through COVID because they shut down her salon. But that's it. That's all we've had for volunteers. Is really a lot of people who are wanting to come and work on the farm. We had another guy who would work 1 day a week because he's a videographer, and he wanted to just unplug from the computer. And then, but we don't have a formalized volunteer system. That's just kind of how we roll. But anybody who is asking to come to work on the farm, we haven't really said no. It's just, we're a production farm. We get people to come by and tour every now and then. That kind of seems to be more what happens. But that, yeah, we don't really have a huge, like a standardized volunteer system. Farming is challenging because there's so many integral parts. And since there's so few of us here, everybody kind of has to learn how to do pretty much everything from seeding to harvesting to wash pack to, it's just, it's a lot of people say farming's unskilled labor, but I have to say there's
Disagree.
a lot.
Yeah, I disagree with that. You guys know how to do a lot of stuff that I have no idea how to do. So it's definitely skilled. It takes skill to do that. So even though you guys haven't in the past had a lot of call for volunteers, does that mean that you are not open to volunteers, or are you just not, you don't have the capacity to really train volunteers?
We're totally open. It's just, so we are in Indianapolis, but we're like way on the edge of town. So I don't know if we have the same.
Yeah.
We
never
got
know.
Behind us and a empty field across the street from us, which would be awesome to plant into.
Yeah.
But like we've had one family that they were thinking about starting a farm, but he was going to school and didn't have the time. So we don't get a lot of like local, to be honest, I rarely see anyone outside in my neighborhood. Like,
Gotcha.
and if that tells you anything, it's like, how are people going to want to come outside and work all day long? It's just a different.
Yeah.
I grew up out in like the middle of nowhere. I picked strawberries when I was 13, 14. We had to ride our bike like miles to get to the farm. It was just like and it was like normal. Like, it's just different. It's a different world. I don't know. It's a different mindset. But that's only an hour away from here. Like, I'm not, like, it's still in Indiana. It's not like really that far. It's just different perspective.
Well, you never know who's watching or who may be interested. You just never know. So at least we put it out there, and if it gets you more people, awesome. We did our job.
Yeah, totally. Like, I learned so much from our volunteers. That's kind of like a secret weapon. Like, the people that come and worked here or volunteered here. Our first employee, I was really unsure. And like I noticed that she was taking a very long time to bunch radishes. And I was just kind of like looking at her, and then I look at the bunch and I'm like, oh, her bunch looks way more beautiful than my bunch. And it just looked like a flower, you know? So, it's just like these little small things that it's just, it's amazing how much they contribute to the farm.
Yeah. So Susan, I know you are pivoting into a different area, but are you looking for anyone to help out with what you're doing?
Well, how could I say no? Hi, Siwoo. Allow me to make my plea. So here's the thing. I am pivoting, but with the right group of people, I do think we could still do the educational foraging garden. We have a space, and we can do it. We have a curriculum, like, we can do it if we have some people who could help. So if maybe you helped your grandma forage, or maybe you know how to forage just because it's interesting to you, if you're an experienced forager, then I would love to talk to you about perhaps leading some trainings and working with some of our community gardens to provide trainings either on our site or on their site. That's an important piece. But for the place I'm heading to, gosh, in a dream world, I'd sure love a grant writer and like someone to kind of,
We all,
oh my God.
would.
Well, hey, if you don't ask, you know what my husband's grandmother always said, if you don't ask, you don't get. And so I
Yes.
ask.
Yes, my grandmother put it a different way. She would always say, closed mouth won't get fed. And
I like
when I
that
was
too.
young, I
Yes.
did not understand it. But as an adult, I'm like, she's right. You really have to speak up about what you want and tell people, and not just tell the people that you know in conversations like this. And if there's something that I need, I talk about it in every space that I can possibly bring it up, because you never know who's in those spaces. You never know
That's right.
who knows who. And as a person who's about connections, I'm like, listen, there is 6 degrees of separation. You just may know the person that is going to help me win. So I am with your grandmother and my grandmother. Like, talk about it, say it. We all need a grant writer. If there's grant writers out there, please contact CWU Online. That's CWUWonline.org.
Yes.
We can use your insight and information, and I can connect you to any of our builders that are looking for that service. Well, this has been an awesome conversation. This is my first time doing Wellness Wednesday. This has been great. I love to have conversations. I did not want to sit here with a bunch of slides and just talk. I don't like talking to myself. I like talking to actual people. It works so much better for me. But I am so glad you guys were able to get on. Are there any other last things that anyone wants to put out there? If you have a website or on social media and you want to plug yourself, you are welcome to do that. Just hop in and say what it is that you need to say. Tell the people where to find you if they do want to volunteer. And also, if anyone out there wants to volunteer and you don't remember this information, it will continuously be replayed on Facebook, as well as you can contact us at CWU through our website, and we can connect you with anyone that you would like to volunteer with.
I'll hop on here real quick. If you need to reach out to me, you want to volunteer, you have any questions, you got some extra money you need to get rid of, any of that, grant writing, whatever it is, hey, please talk to me. My email address is motherloves@gmail.com. We also have a website, which is www.motherlovesgarden.com.
All right. Thank you.
Could I just take a minute to say to my esteemed colleague, what an extraordinary ask that was. Beautiful. I mean, I wish I had said that. I wish that had been me.
Any money you want to get rid of?
Yeah,
great
right
way.
on. I'm like, yeah, give it to her. Right on.
We got
a great way to put
work.
that.
I gotta pay them, but we need the money.
Right
Yes.
on.
Yes.
I will come to the Facebook and put my contact information in the comments so that it's there.
Awesome.
But yeah, if you want to help me with grant writing so we can get some more property for food growers, let me know.
Come on, people.
Or if you want to just give us money also, yes, we'll take your money too, but clearly we've already had an amazing ask for that.
Yeah. Daniel, do you have any final words or comments?
Yeah, I'm going to second what Taisha said. And we always have, so there's this thing called SARE, and it's for farmers, and it's essentially a grant program. And it's just every December, I think 1st or whatever it is, it's like the day before, and I'm like, I can't write it. I can't write a grant. And we have all these ideas to collaborate with other farmers. We have a guy who has beehives that we help manage. And he's like, I'm getting old. I need to get a cart or something like that. So we have all these ideas to write grants for these electronic carts. Since I have neighbors, electronic carts would be great because we wouldn't have to use any gas powered engines and wake our neighbors up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Because I'm just trying to keep my neighbors happy. We're here for the community, but sometimes the neighbors I don't want to hear that lawnmower sounding thing at 5 in the morning, and I don't blame them either. but it's just a lot. It's also a lot of labor moving carts throughout the day, like that are filled with compost and crops and, you know, root veggies. It's just like we're trying to figure out, because there's not a lot of tools out there that are electric or electrified. And it's kind of they're kind of expensive. Like the batteries are the limiting factor for us. That's like what the big expense is. And I'm also looking for like any kind of like farm design help. Like we run through the Ben Hartman's book, the Lean Farm, with all of our employees. And then we talk about several chapters after lunch. And they pretty much redesign the farm to make it life easier. But we're always kind of looking for like new things. And we kind of started a little foraging project down the road from us. There's a creek, and we like secretly planted 100 pawpaw trees. But we're just like trying to remove the honeysuckle because that stuff takes over, and then trying to figure out what to replace it with so it doesn't come back as quickly. So, you know, I guess I don't know who owns that property, but it's just, our kids play in the creek all the time. If they can get free food, why not?
There you go. There you go. Well, this has been awesome and amazing. Thank you guys for jumping on, taking the time out of your day to just come have a conversation. To our CWU audience, thank you for tuning in, whether you're tuning in live or you see this later. We appreciate you. Tune in next week at noon for another Wellness Wednesday. This is every week, but there is a different division each week talking about wellness as it applies to our community and each of us. Everyone have an awesome day, and I will definitely be talking to you guys at some point soon. So have a great one, everyone. See ya.
You do the same. Thanks, Sherrita. See you.
Thanks for including us.
You're welcome.